All right. We are live. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. This is going to be a really, really fun session. As always, I'm going to try a few things here, make sure the sound's okay. Of course, let me know if it's going well on your side. And if you can hear me okay. I think there's a big delay here, unfortunately. All right. I hear myself. Great. That's good enough. I'll shut that off. Thank you all. This is awesome. We're going to be working on improv today. I'm going to be practicing improv with you. We're going to be trading fours. We're going to be working on improv. You're going to be learning. You're going to be making progress. You're going to be learning about the process of practicing improvisation, right? It doesn't have to just be feel it out. It doesn't have to be vibe it out. It doesn't have to be listen harder, transcribe more. There are actual exercises that you can do. There's a practice process that I've created that you can use to become proficient at improvising and then go past that and become really, really good at improvisation. That's exactly what we're going to be doing here today. Hey, Randy. Hey, Alan. Good to have you guys on here. Hey, Franco. So before I dive in here, give me 1 second. And I'm going to log into something. My tea was boiling, and it was taking much longer than I expected. So I ran up here quickly. It's a beautiful, rainy day here today. I'm very happy about that. And I don't see much rain here, which is funny. Okay. Oh, that went well. Ray says, hey, Brendan, somewhere I caught a scale that was to the 9th, then flat 9th to the 8th in order to get the chord tones to play on the downbeats. If this is understandable, you show it to me, please. I caught a scale that was to the 9th and then flat 9th to the 8th. Sorry, Red. I don't exactly know what you're talking about. Maybe you could write the notes out. If you write the notes out, I'll be able to tell. Before I dive into the exercises today and what I'm about to teach you, I would recommend you have a piano with you or by you because you're going to make a lot of progress out of being able to practice these exercises on your own. Right? Practice them with me as we do the exercises, and as I teach you, you can experiment. Again, my recommendation to you is when I am teaching, it's very easy to get distracted with a piano in front of you. So put all your attention on the live stream when I'm teaching, and then when I'm giving you the exercises, then it's your turn to play, right? You can noodle and play and experiment with the exercises all you want. Black Friday is coming up. If you're a member, if you're a lifetime member already, you're going to get access to this. If you're a member already, you're going to get access to this. The Proficient Jazz Pianist is going to be released, and the first part is going to be released on Black Friday. That's going to be around Goal 1, how to play in a band, how to play in a group, how to play in a band, how to comp with other musicians, if you had the desire to do that. Now, the comping isn't just for playing with other musicians. In solo piano, you have to comp as well. You have to comp for yourself, actually, in solo piano. So the whole Goal 1 actually sets you up to play solo piano much better, right? Solo piano is Goal 2, and improvisation is Goal 3. Now, this brand new course, brand spanking new, off the press, right, which is going to be released on Black Friday. For members, you're going to get this already, get access to it. You might want to think about upgrading, though, right? And if you're already a lifetime member, you're going to get free access to this. If you're not a member, then you can get access to this. You can pick up the Black Friday special. Go to jazzpianoschool.com/Black Friday 2024 to get on the email list for all the information, because that's where you're going to be able to find all the information the fastest, the first, okay? And again, this offer will close on Tuesday after Black Friday. But with that being said, let's dive right in. What do you guys do to practice improv? Like, what do you do? What exercises do you use? You know, what works? What doesn't? What are your goals for improv? How do you get better? What are you trying to play like or sound like? Okay, and how do you start to work on those things? These aren't rhetorical questions. I'd love to hear from everyone in the space about this. And tell me, I'm going to start teaching, but you tell me what you work on, what you think you need to get better for where you're at. So if I improvise, let's make sure you guys can hear the piano, okay? a lot of this stuff, oh, my key's sticking here. A lot of this, of what I'm doing, is a combination of so many different components. So many different components, right? And if I do this, right? A lot of different components goes into that. Okay, if I do this. Different components go into that. So, what do you learn to get the sound that you want, right? If you work on one thing, you're going to get one of the sounds I just played. If you work on something else, you're going to get another sound that I just played. And if you work on something else, you're going to get another sound that I just played. So it can be very, very confusing to know what to do to get the sound that you want, because all different sounds come from different elements. This is the blues. This is more chordal improv. And the thing I started with first was a little bit more bebop. Right? A lot of different things happen here. So you need, first of all, you need to have proficiency in something. Okay? What do you have proficiency in? That's my question to you, right? What do you have proficiency in doing in improv, right? What are you proficient at playing improv? Do you know what you should be proficient at? Do you know what tools you should be proficient at? Do you know what setups you should be proficient at? Let me know. I'm really curious, because guaranteed, most of the time, teachers are not teaching you the way I'm teaching, right? They're having you learn transcriptions. You're kind of just strung along doing exactly what the teacher says, never really knowing what you're doing or why you're doing it. This was a lot of my case growing up, okay? But let me know, right? Let me know. So we need to be proficient at fundamentals in specific levels, which I'm going over, that come from my proficiency course that's going to be released on improvisation, right? Now, if I take a chord, if I want to reflect the sound of the chord, I need to be able to hit these chord tones, okay? Very, very well. Chord tones is really the first proficient item that you need to have in your repertoire to make your sound good. If you don't sound good at improv, guaranteed it's because you're hitting notes like this. You hear this? That doesn't sound good. I mean, like, this is just brutal honesty. Like, if I'm soloing and I hit these notes here, right? E flat, F sharp, G sharp over a D minor 7, your improv's not going to sound good. That's a fact. Okay? That's not a guessing thing or like feel it out or like you're not. That's a fact. So this is theory-based improvisational learning I'm teaching you right now. So it's easy in the key of C to know this, right? So the flat 9, the major 3rd, and essentially the sharp 4 over a D minor 7. If you hit those notes, it's not going to sound good. Now, funny enough, when students play, like over the D minor 7, yeah, it's easy to say, okay, play all the white notes. I get it. But when you start to move to a different key, like let's say over an A flat 7, if I play this, right? That's not going to sound good either. So we need to be proficient at something, right? To really get good at improv and jazz piano in general are all the 3 goals that I'm teaching in the Proficient Jazz Pianist, right? How to play in a group, which is comping, how to play solo piano, and how to play improv. You got to be proficient at doing something. And most of the time, students aren't really proficient at anything. And that's okay. That's okay, but we got to call it as it is, because once you know the issue, you can start to tackle it. Chord tones. Let's do some chord tones. Okay, so as I solo and I work on chord tones, this is going to make my improv sound good. Just the fact alone that you're using chord tones will make your solo sound good. playing, I would call these wrong notes. You know, a lot of teachers, oh, there's no wrong notes in improv. Yeah, that's kind of true. That's kind of true. But if you hit these notes, they're kind of wrong notes in the beginning of your journey because you need to learn in a level-based system. So here we go. I'm just going to play a little bit. You don't need to play right now. You're just watching. I'm just using chord tones for soloing. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Being proficient at playing chord tones and improvising with chord tones is really the first level to getting good at improvisation. Now, if you think you can do this over any tune, that's the proficiency test for this particular level. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to pull up iReal Pro right now, get ready to play a little bit. I'm going to grab some tea as this open. Actually, this might be a little bit too hot. There's always a panic moment, right? When you go to drink your first sip of tea and it's like, am I going to burn the crap out of my mouth right now? But you want it to be hot. You want it to be just hot enough, right? Where it's just like, okay, I don't want it to get cold though, but I need it to be hot. But am I gonna really burn myself right now? No problem, James. All right, so we're going to do a 2-5-1 first. We're going to do some 2-5-1s first right now. Get your piano ready. And in this 2-5-1 here, we're just going to be looping different 2-5-1s because you want to start practicing improv in a controlled environment. And I see so many students just go kind of willy-nilly, just throwing notes out there over tunes. Like I get that you want to improvise over tunes, but we got to start in a controlled manner, in a controlled way where our brain doesn't have to make too many decisions. So here is the progression we are going to do. This 2-5-1-6 actually. Hey, you know what? Let's change this just to a regular 2-5-1. I don't want to do the 6. Did I? Okay, I guess we will do the 2-5-1. I can just can I edit this real quick? Okay, screw it. That's okay. I'm not going to do it. This will be fun. So what we're going to do here is we are going to play over top of this 2-5-1. I'm going to loop this 10 times. I just want you to solo with chord tones. So you guys all understand? So all you're going to be doing here over the D minor 7, no left hand yet. No left hand. Remember, we want to go from a controlled environment to an uncontrolled environment. Jazz is an uncontrolled environment because of all the spontaneity that's included. So to practice jazz, we need to go from the most comfortable controlled environment and slowly build up to the least controlled, most uncomfortable environment, which jazz is because of all the spontaneity, all the decisions we need to make in real time. So the more decisions we can take off of our plate in the beginning of our practice, especially in improv, because it's improv. We are literally improvising. We're making split decisions in real time. The more decisions we can take off of our plate to focus on the exact tool we're working on, the better, the more progress you're going to make, the more efficient you're going to be. So right now, we have 4 notes per chord we're going to use, right? All of you on this live stream should probably know what these notes are, right? They're just your root position 7th chords, okay? Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to solo through 4 measures. Listen to what I do. Try to mimic me or imitate the ways that I use the chord tones, maybe rhythms, maybe phrases. It'll give you some ideas. But again, you're only using chord tones. Are you guys all ready? We're going to go at 78 BPM here, 78 BPM. And I have this set for 10 times. I don't know. Once I feel like we've done enough, I'll probably just stop it. But here we go. I'm going to go first, then you guys. Ready? There we go. Space. Motif. Okay, now you. Okay, me. me. Holds. Short. Same motif. You. Okay, we'll go through once more. I'm going to go, and then you're go, and that'll be it. Last time, you. All right. Good job. Good job. So let me know in the chat. Let me know how this went. How did this go for you? What were the issues you were having? Was this easy for you? Was it hard? What could have been better? What did you see coming up? Right now, this was a 2-5-1. Let me know in the chat, please. I would love to know what you guys were facing. If it felt comfortable with you, what happens? This was a 2-5-1-6 in the key of C. Right? So clearly this is a key of C. This is an easy key. But when we face tunes, when we go to improvise over tunes, tunes have lots of keys. And this is a really, really big thing that comes up for students is that, yeah, you can improvise in the key of C, but tunes, lots of tunes have different types of chord changes, right? So we really want to be able to improvise over a lot of different types of chord changes, right? So if I switch up the key here, I'm going to switch this key to, let's do a different key. Let's go to the key of A flat. Okay, the key of A flat. Again, let me know in the chat. I don't see the chat moving that much. Hopefully it's working. But let me know in the chat what was working for you, what wasn't working for you. And that'll be very helpful for me as I continue to move on through this. So we're going to do the key of A flat here. And again, completely different chord tones now. We have B flat, E flat, A flat, F7. Right? So we have 4 completely different chords here. And with those 4 chords, now your chord tones switch. Okay, so everything that we're doing is kind of like thinking in a different way. But we're going to do the same exercise here, new key. Are you guys ready? This is going to be 4 beats and then we're in. Here we go. Let's speed up the tempo just a little bit. Just a little bit. We'll go to, let's go to 88. All right, here we go, 4 beats. I'll go first, then you. Same exercise. You guys? Okay, you guys? I can turn the drums up here for you guys. And the bass. And the volume. Let me know if that's better for you guys. Stuff, right? Okay, you guys? Octaves. Upbeats. I'll go, then you guys go. You? All right. Awesome. So, again, new key, great. A little bit more challenging. A little bit of speed, great. We're starting to progress different variables and controls that start to make our improvisation a little bit more difficult, right? Was that a little bit more difficult for y'all? It should have been a teeny bit, right? Dunya said it was easy for her. the first one. Franco said, easy, I did not get lost, but maybe because I saw the real chords. Yep. Bruce said, went fine. Just hearing beat with my piano over the top was hard. So I upped the volume, Bruce. So is this easy for you? Okay. Once you assess whether something's easy, then you just make it harder, right? So when does it become hard? When does it become hard? When does your proficiency in something start to slip? Because that's where your level, that's where you need to focus on. That's where the work has to begin, right at that level. So different keys are going to be challenging, okay? We're going to do a very challenging exercise that you should be proficient at. This should be quite easy. You should be proficient in this exercise. Now, the exercise we're about to do here is going to be the same exercise we've been doing, but it's going to be faster, and we're going to go through all the keys, right? So if certain keys are causing you issues, then you're going to focus in on those keys, right? But in order for us to really play freely, improvise freely over tunes, we have to be proficient at all keys in some tool, in one of the tools that I'm trying to teach you, right? So here are all the keys, okay? And we're going to move through this. Ray's answer, that was funny. No problem. The reason I practiced with 370 of your podcasts. That's great, Ray. That makes me laugh. All right, so we're going to go through all 12 keys. Still playing chord tones, right? This is really one of the proficiency tests to see if you are proficient at playing chord tones and improvising with chord tones. Now, granted, the rhythms and things like that, that can always be improved, okay? I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about you actually knowing the chord tones for every chord and being able to hit them and strike them on the piano accurately. That's what I'm kind of concerned on. So we're going to remember my tempo scale, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180. 120 is a passing grade. We're going to go to 100. So we're going to be right between 90 and the passing grade. Okay, 90 is getting the hang of it, right? 120 is passing. So we're kind of like almost in the middle, not quite in the middle. We're going to go through all the keys. We're going to alternate keys, again, because I don't want you to be playing over top of me. I don't want to be playing over top of you. So I'm going to go first, then you're going to go, then I'm going to go, then you're going to go. Okay, you can keep listening to the ideas that I play. I'm playing a lot of repetitive ideas and motifs using chord tones with space. Okay, short, articulate strikes on the piano. Are you guys ready? Here we go. I'm going to go first. Here we go. Same rhythm. Okay, now you, key of F. I have the key of B flat. Key A flat. U. B. Last two, I'll go, and then you. You. Great. Perfect. So that was at 100 BPM. Now, how many of you could do that successfully? Let me see. If you made more than 3 mistakes, meaning you hit 3 non-chord tones, say yes in the chat. If you didn't, say no in the chat. So if you made more than 3 mistakes, which is okay, that's okay. We're just using this data, right? I really want to normalize making mistakes. It's completely okay to make mistakes. We want to try to press ourselves and see where we need to improve. So if you made more than 3 mistakes, go ahead and put yes in the chat. If you made less than 3 mistakes, go ahead and put no in the chat. I want to see where everyone is. If you're just watching this and you're not at the piano and you think you could have done that in less than 3 mistakes, put yes. No, put no. My bad. If you think you would have made more mistakes than 3 mistakes, put yes. If you would have made less than 3 mistakes, put no. Okay? So Alan made more than 3 mistakes. Okay, perfect. Great. This is perfect data, right? This tells Alan exactly what he needs to work on. This tells Dunya exactly what they need to work on, right? This is the exact exercise that you guys would need to work on. And how do we work on this now? Okay? That's okay, right? It's okay. This is great. Perfect. I mean, these are great. Bruce said no. Ray said no. So in order to start to adjust your progress and your practice, what we can do now, you need to ask yourself, what was causing the mistake? What was causing the mistake? Was it the tempo, right? Was it a certain key? Guaranteed it's a certain key, meaning like you may not know the key of B too well. So what do? Isolate the key and loop that key. So you're practicing that key at a smaller tempo, right? Isolate the key, practice the key, and then put it back into this. And that way, when you get to the key, you'll be much more proficient at that particular key. But as you guys are saying, yes, like I did make more than 3 mistakes, or no, this is giving you data. So if you're making mistakes in this, guaranteed, okay, you're going to make mistakes in the tune. So it's not really about the tune. It's about knowing chord tones. Because if I pull up a tune right now, the majority of tunes, you're going to see all these chords. There's no difference in playing this or working on this or practicing this versus practicing over a tune. There is literally no difference in improvisation. The difference comes in goal 2, solo piano. Why? Because we have the melody. But right now, improvising over chord changes is exactly the same. We do not have a melody. It doesn't really matter, right? So if I pull up into a tune right now, I'm going to flip open to a random tune, and a lot of us, you guys can still try this with me. We are going to improvise over the tune in the exact same way. Okay, so we're going to be using chord tones, and we are going to go through the tune. This is a great tune by John Coltrane, a lot of 2/5s. Okay, not all 2/5-1s, but lots of different types of 2/5s. So this is Lazy Bird, not to be confused with Lady Bird. I made that mistake a lot earlier in my career. So we have A minor to D7. That's a 2/5, right? So what key is that from? The key of G. So hopefully you're good at the key of G. We have C minor to F7. That comes from the key of B flat, right? So knowing your chord tones is just like working on the exercises, but the changes happen at different times. There's different combinations, different equations. We have an F minor 7 to B flat 7 to E flat. Then we have a full 2/5-1 to the key of E flat, right? So to be proficient at really the first level of this is really all about staying here, staying at this level, and working at these tools, because nothing really is going to work after this. If you really can't get this down, nothing's going to work after this, right? That's why it's so important. And so many students get disinterested, uninterested, move on. Oh, I don't need this. I need I want the transcription for that, right? I get it. That's cool. It depends what your goal is. If you want to read and play transcriptions to sound good, read the transcriptions. If you want to be able to improvise from scratch like a true jazz pianist, this is what you need. This is what you need. Not a lot of students want to hear that, but it's true, right? And I say that in the most kind, caring way because this is what happened to me. I was led in a very poor direction in a lot of my early career of learning, right? So I'm going to put the tempo to 120. That's the passing grade for this. We're going to go through this one time. We're going to trade again. Okay, so I'll do 4 bars, then you do 4 bars, and I'll do 4 bars. Watch the repeat. It's going to go to the first ending. The bridge goes to the key of A for a second, and the key of G, okay? Then we're going to take the coda down into the bottom, I believe. I'm not sure if it actually will go to the coda. We'll see. And I'll call it out, okay? I'm not sure what IRL Pro does here. Here we go. 4 beats and we're in. Franco says D flat, B, and somehow A for me difficult. Yeah, so he's isolated. He knows what keys are difficult. So Franco just needs to isolate those keys and work on them, right? It's really not rocket science, okay? Here we go. 4 beats and then we're in. I'm going to go first, then you. Second ending. Ooh, I got the key of A. You guys missed out. You. Me. You. Coda. Okay, you guys are still going. You guys keep going here. Okay, I'm going to take these next 4 bars here. And you. All right, perfect. Great. So, okay, that probably felt pretty overwhelming and stressful to a lot of you, right? Ray, how did you do on that? Bruce, how did you do on that? Okay, because that was a much more simulated environment to real life improvisation over a tune, right? That's exactly what it feels like, and we need to be able to catch those changes fast. So the way that I teach, yeah, you can spend time like really working on these changes, but again, you could spend a couple days on this, but then switch the tune because you're really practicing one thing. You're practicing your brain's ability to switch between your chord tones on the different chords in different spots. Now, of course, there's lots of practice exercises to get better at this, okay, contained in the Proficiency, Proficient Jazz Pianist. But really working through tunes, your ability to just open up to a tune and be able to do this at 120 BPM, that is the definition of being proficient at this, right? At this. So if you're at this level where you can open up to a tune and play through it easily at 120 BPM, and again, make less than 3 mistakes playing through this with just chord tones, you're proficient at level 1. You are proficient at that. And that's a good thing to know. That's a really good thing to know, that you can say, I am proficient at level 1 of improvisation. Because a lot of us don't even know what level 1 is. We don't even, Franco said disaster. That's okay, Franco. That's totally okay. A lot of us don't know what level 1 is. A lot of us don't know where to start, right? But getting proficient at that, if you really focus hard, put the blinders on, and you work on this every single day, just this, you're going to get proficient. You could get proficient in probably 5 days, right? You got to work on it every day. 5 days, just hitting chord tones, you can get very, very proficient at this, right? So maybe a week, right? That's all it would take. That's all it takes. An hour a day. I promise you. And you'd test out a proficiency for level 1. Let's go to level 2. Now on level 2, anytime we start to move up in levels, we're going to regress 2 exercises. We're going to regress to the beginning of the exercise again so that we can work on the tool at hand. So the tool now at hand is connection and skips. So right now we have a bunch of random chord tones is what we're playing. I wish I could edit this, but I forget how in this moment. God, it is pouring out, and I love it. Got my tea, doing some live stream piano. So the tool at hand now is connection. We can't play all chord tones, right? We need to have some fluidity in our movement, in our improv. That's how the smoothness of improv starts to come out. Okay, now what was I doing here? I was using all steps. Steps are just one note apart. I'm not using any skips. Skips are thirds. Steps are whole steps or half steps, right? Whole steps, half steps, thirds. Okay, I did use a couple thirds because I jumped around to make a resolution. That's okay at the end when you're moving into a chord tone. But check it out. I'm going to go really slow. This is exactly what you should be practicing like when you start to work on a tool. No tempo, no time. You're working it out very slowly. I'm starting on a chord tone. I'm stepping down. Every time the chord changes, I want to land on a chord tone. So I landed on the root of the G chord. I'm going to step up and then down or in random ways, but I'm still following the rules of improv. Third of the C major. Third of the A7. I'm changing my chord scale on the A7 because I'm now using a Mixolydian chord scale. I'm not going to talk about that too much, but just to show you, right, I have to hit the chord tones of the chord. 7 of the D minor 7. 5 of the C major. Root of the A7. So you see what I'm doing? So I'm using steps and fluidity to go up and down. James, I would highly, highly, highly recommend you get iReal Pro. I would pay $1,000 for iReal Pro. It's the most amazing app ever. And it's probably like $15. Has all the chord charts you could ever need. It has all the backing tracks you could ever need. You can adjust the piano, the bass, the tempo, the key signature, the swing, the feel. It's absolutely fantastic. Best investment of a jazz musician's life, honestly, besides jazz piano school. Plug. Okay, so we're moving up and down with steps, right? Now, that's how exactly we do this, okay? So I want you guys to do this a little bit on your own right now. Okay, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. I'm going to set a timer. I want you to just play your left hand and with no time. Okay, you want to count the beats in your head though. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, you're moving up and down in steps, no skips, steps. And every time the chord changes, anytime you count 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, play all eighth notes. There's no rest. Play and land on a chord tone just like I'm doing, okay? Go ahead and try that right now. And stop. Like, stop if you get stuck. You can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and how do I get to the next chord tone, right? Oh, okay, the third 1 and 2. You can stop. That's okay. All right, so I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to give you 1 minute now. I'm going to put a timer on. I'm going to give you 1 minute right now to do that. And go. – 20 seconds left. And stop. Okay, how did that go for you guys, right? That's the process of working at improv. Okay, that's literally the ground level of practicing improv. Okay, we can't always throw the metronome on or open up a tune and start to work on it because this is literally the process. This is what the process looks like. Okay, this has to be done every day, daily, 5, 10, 15, half an hour even, right? Working this stuff out slowly. We have to get our fingers used to the movements and our brain used to figuring these things out, right? We're literally like developing new connections in our brain that is telling us where to move on the piano to hit these chord tones and follow the equation in the system I'm giving you. Okay, so now that we've done that a little bit, what do we do? What do we do? We don't jump to the tune. That's like jumping on the highway, right? In a manual car when you just first barely learn to drive. Okay, and all you know how to do is take your foot off the brake and then put it back on to go let the car move a little bit, right? So jumping to the tune right now with this new tool is literally like getting on the highway the first time you're driving. It's way too much. So we just slowly, incrementally bump up the pressure. So we're going to start at, let me say, 68 BPM. Let's go 64 BPM. We're going to trade now. I'm going to go 4 bars. You're going to go 4 bars. The only thing we're going to be working on now, because we have iRail Pro with us, is our right hand. We're not going to be doing our left hand. We don't need our left hand right now. We don't need it. I wouldn't even touch your left hand until you're proficient at the first 3 levels of my improv system, right? The left hand will do nothing but confuse your brain. Sorry, this is hilarious to me. The left hand will do nothing but confuse your brain when trying to learn these tools, right? And so many students jump right into trying to get their left hand to work with their right hand, and they want hand independence and stuff like that when their right hand doesn't even work, right? Don't worry about your left hand. That's okay. We'll get to that later. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do the first 4 bars. I'm following my system. And we're going to move up and down the scale in steps, no skips yet, and we're going to hit chord tones. Okay, play other scales to chords. I'm not sure what that question means, Bruce. But here we go. 4 beats. I'm going to go, then you go. All eighth notes. All eighth notes. No stopping. 5 of the G7. Root of the C. 3rd of the A7. 3rd of the D. 3rd of the G. 5 of the C. Root of the A. Oh, sorry, we're not switching. Okay, you go. You go, my bad. That was my fault. Okay, you go. You do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to start on the 3rd. 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 Root. And you. Okay, me. 5, 7, 7. Root. Last time. You. Great. I'll stop it there. So again, this is how we start to practice improv. This is what practicing improv looks like, right? This is what it looks like. And these exercises actually expedite, right, your progress exponentially. Like when you sit and focus on this type of thing, you're going to get so much better at improv so fast, right? All you have to do is trust me. All you have to do is trust me, right? And it's really hard to do that. I get it, because it's like, well, we're working on these 2-5-1 exercises. How does this apply to a tune? I'll show you right now. When you learn this exercise through the keys and you're able to do this, if I flip open to a tune and I start to play a tune in the exact same manner, why don't I take Lazy Bird again, right? We'll just stick with that through the entire session today. If I take Lazy Bird again and I do the exact same exercise, let's try this, right? We'll try it at 64 BPM. Okay, I'll go, then you go. You're going to do the exact same exercises. So you have to switch your chord scales now, which again is another learning area. Like, what key is it coming from? What is it not? Because if you're not switching your chord scales, you're technically making mistakes. Remember when I pointed out all the mistakes in the chord tones? Right? There's mistakes, which there are notes outside of the chord scale. So if you're playing over, I'll give you a demonstration right now. Let's say you're playing over the first 2-5 and you think that 2-5 is in the key of B. Let's say for some reason you think that 2-5 in the beginning of the tune, the A minor 7 to D7. I shouldn't be laughing, but let's say you think that's in the key of B major. all the notes you're going to be playing. Maybe you start on the A, but then you go to B, you go to A sharp, and then B, and then C sharp, and then D sharp. You hear that? I'm going to keep going. And then the next 2/5, you think that's in the key of A. Do you hear how bad that sounds? This is literally why students' improv does not sound good. This is why your improv does not sound good. It's because of mainly theory, chord scale theory, and just hitting the correct notes. There are correct notes to jazz within the key center. And that's the first part. Now to take it out, altered scale. Right? Stuff like this. That is worked in later, right? But we really have to get this down. So we're going to go through this at 64 BPM, same exact process. Things are going to get pretty difficult right now, right? So I'm going to go first, 4 beats, and then you. Okay, here we go. Hitting some extensions, but you go. That's my fault. I was thinking of a different tool. Okay, you're trying to connect your chord tones now and land on chord tones. Connect your scales and land on chord tones. Okay, here we go. I'll call up the chord tones as fast as I can. Third, 7, root, third, 7. Third, you go. Okay, I got the key of A major now, so I'm using all major. All of A major, sorry. I was talking. Root. 5, 3. You go. I'll go one last time here. 7, 5, 3, 5, 3, 3, 3. Okay, good. So anyway, my point here is that this tool directly applies to that. Now, it still doesn't sound exactly like jazz, right? Why not? Because we got just a couple more components to really work in. We haven't really worked on skips. We're not using any rest. We're not using any musicality. But check it out. If I start to use some skips, now if I go back to this, skips in improvisation. Improvisation is made of skips, steps, and bebop approach notes if you're playing bebop. Skips, steps, and bebop approach notes. So we're just working on steps. That's the tool we were just working on. We're working on steps, and we're working on landing on chord tones. Because the landing on chord tones is what reflects the sound of the chord. So we got proficient at the chord tones. Then we were trying to get proficient at the steps. Then we'd have to be proficient at skips. Right? You hear a lot of skips in jazz, like lines like this. Right? Skips all over the place in jazz. That's literally a major, major tool that creates bebop motion, right? Skips are all over the place. So that's another element that we have to become proficient at, right? And then we start to blend all this together. So if I'm proficient at my skips and my steps, and I can hit chord tones, that's a very, very, very proficient level of jazz. Very, very proficient of improvisation, right? So I'm using skips balanced with steps. And I'm hitting chord tones on the downbeat. Skips. Steps. Skips. Steps. Skips. Skips. then it starts to sound like jazz. Now, I was doing all eighth notes there, but if I leave some rest and if I add a little bit of a swing feel, right? I added some triplets now. Okay. So James says, what about enclosures to get to chord tones? Yes. After we're proficient at those first three things, chord tones, steps, and skips, right? Chord tones, steps, and skips. Then we start to learn our bebop enclosures. We start to learn our bebop approach notes. They approach your chord tones. They enclose your chord tones. But there's absolutely no purpose to really learning your bebop approach notes because, again, if I go to the tune Lady Bird and we don't know how to connect our chord scales, meaning we don't really know what key the chords are coming from, we don't know how to move up and down our chord scales, even if we use our bebop approaches, I could use the fanciest bebop approach over the A minor 7 and then move into a B major scale, and my improv is going to sound terrible, right? I could do the same thing over the C minor. I could use a really fancy bebop approach and then move into a completely wrong chord scale with wrong notes like the A. And my improv is going to sound terrible, right? So it doesn't matter how many fancy things you add on top if you really aren't proficient at something. You got to be proficient at something, right? What are you proficient at as a student? Like, ask yourself. I think it's a really great goal for students to have. Are you proficient at anything? You know? And if the answer is no, then that's a great focus for you. And it's a great opportunity because you're in the perfect place to hunker down and really work on what needs to get done for you to get better. For you to say, yes, I am proficient at level 2. I'm proficient at level 1 and level 2. Right? From the proficiency course. That's what I can do. And now I'm on level 3. I'm going to get proficient at that. So I sound amazing. Right? So I forget what level it is, but I think it's about 4 or 5. You start to use your bebop enclosures. Right? So you become proficient at your bebop enclosures. I know you can't see this. Actually, let me move this over. What did I do? So now I'm really creating jazz, right? We're at a level where like the jazz bebop sound is happening, but it's not just because of the bebop enclosures. Do not make any mistake about that. Just adding bebop enclosures does not make the sound of jazz. The reason this starts to sound like jazz is because I'm still applying and accurately using the first 3 levels of the proficiency course. Chord tones, I'm landing on chord tones. You know, there's some delayed resolutions I'm using. There's my chord tone, my 5th. Bebop approach. Bebop approach. Delayed resolution with the bebop approach. 5, 7. 7 on the F minor. 1 of the B flat, root. Right? So I'm still following very, very precisely, accurately the first 3 levels. And without those, adding bebop approaches, adding the altered scale, adding blues scale, you know, that's fun. It's fun to do, but those aren't necessarily the things that are going to make you sound better at improv, that are really going to uplift your skill set to that next level so you're really able to kind of accomplish your dream, right? And then we just start to get a little faster. Hey, see you, Franco. Thanks so much. You can follow the recording. Yeah, I'm almost done. So the bebop approaches. Now this is at a level that we're playing actually bebop. Lydian. So I just made a mistake there because I went G, F. I played an F over that D7. It should have been an F sharp. That is a mistake I just made. Right? Okay, so on and so forth. So the purpose here really is to show you that there is a rhyme and reason, a system to moving up. So once we get to our bebop approaches, now we're integrating bebop approaches. So after we get to our bebop approaches, now, like, the fun begins. We're utilizing bebop approaches. Then we can start to use our altered scale. Then we can start to use our altered scale and some of these different types of movements to start to really add the spices, the cherries on top, because we got the meat and potatoes, right? Altered, half whole, right? Okay, sharp 11, 3, right? Half whole. Altered. So again, all this leads to, and then once that is starting to happen, okay, so this might be becoming overwhelming. Like, oh, how do I expect to do all this? I can't just keep working on, like, I get that. I get that it can be super, super overwhelming. This is a lot of steps, but you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? The phrase, okay? But I'll tell you this, you know, working on these components, this stuff, slowly but surely, these are the things that are going to get you to the place you want to be. You got to focus, right, really on the stuff. So if I speed this up a little bit, as you start to work and level up, you're leveling up. And again, it doesn't have to be long. You can level up quickly, I promise you. Okay, and then you're into all sorts of stuff, reharms, movements, left-hand comping, right? All these other layers start to pile on top of all the fundamentals, and it makes everything so much easier. It's like opening a door to a whole new world. It's like before you never knew what key unlocks stuff, but like once you get past the first 3 layers of proficiency, then you can unlock all the other things because you have the fundamentals down and you're proficient at it. You're proficient at it, like you can do it, right? Most students can never really do one thing. Like they're kind of like just, they got random scattered pieces, and it's not their fault. It's not your fault. You know, it's just like from going on the internet and looking at YouTube, right? It does take time. It takes time. And a lot of the time, you know, working on one thing, students get distracted very easily. If you have a teacher, like it's really easy to move on from something. I'd really challenge you to just stick with one thing for 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. Just work on one thing. One thing. Okay, there's a great book called The One Thing, and it's really about focusing your life and trying to improve at stuff by doing one thing. One thing. Multitasking is way overrated. Trying to learn all sorts of stuff all the time, it's way overrated, and it really doesn't help that much. Just focus in on one thing, and I promise you, you'll be light years ahead of where you've ever been. So thank you, guys. I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully, again, this was insightful for you to check out. It's really difficult for me to get everything in the live stream, because I'm trying to teach you so much. I'm really trying to teach you how to fish in these live streams. I'm not trying to go deep into one particular level. I'm just trying to give you an overview of the systematic, plan, and obviously provide you insight into what's inside the Proficiency, the Proficient Jazz Pianist, which is the release that's coming up on Black Friday. If you're watching this right now, you're not a member. If you're watching it later, go to jazzpianoschool.com/Black Friday 2024 to check out and get all the information there. If you guys have any questions about anything, please let me know at any time. I'm very available all the time, right? I think, well, I could be wrong, but I'm one of the only jazz pianists, from a big kind of, I don't want to say big, but like a prominent online school. Like, I answer questions for people, right? I'll answer the questions. A lot of staff and other workers kind of will answer back in some regards, and I have helpers and stuff like that, but I love answering the questions from my own students, from students who write in. Even if you're not a member, I'll answer your questions, so ask me. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed that. The Proficient Jazz Pianist course is meant to be the initial opening origins of education that every student must learn and go through and become proficient at. And then you can move on to other niche categories, advanced stuff, and you're going to be much easier able to add that other stuff in that I know you want into your playing. Okay, thanks, Alan. Very good review. Alan's done my mastermind class before, and Dunya has as well, the accelerator program. No problem, y'all. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I will talk to you guys soon. Again, we'll post this. I'll probably be a little bit, what's the word? Well, I'm not going to be doing as many live streams as usual because it's Thanksgiving week coming up and stuff like that. But I will be getting them into December. Hopefully I'll have my new software going as well. So I'm excited about that. But thank you guys all so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful, what day is it? Friday. Wow, it's Friday. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Ray. Life and Music of George Shearing, if interested in YouTube. Yep, loves George Shearing. Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Dunya. See you guys. Thanks, James. Thanks, Ed. Thanks, everyone who was on here. I appreciate that, Ed. Thank you very much. And everyone who's watching in the future, thanks so much for watching, and I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.